Broadcasting across the country and around the world from Sin City in Las Vegas, Nevada, welcome to 50 Shades of Great. You just joined a journey celebrating the adventures, antics, and occasional absurdities of men navigating the wild ride into middle age. Your hosts, Radio Moose and PowerSerg, together embrace the humor, wisdom, and satisfaction of living life to its fullest, no matter what the calendar says. From reliving our glory days to discovering new passions, join us as we prove that age is truly just a number and the best adventures, they're yet to come. So grab a seat, pour yourself a drink, and let's dive into laughter, camaraderie, and unapologetic fun as we dare to live on 50 Shades of Great. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Great, Dare to Live. I am your host, Moose. I am joined by my co-host and executive producer, PowerSerg.
Moose!
Serge. Hey, but listen, Serge, we got to be very serious here. So we're doing these shows over the course of time, and every single show, one thing's come up. And so I thought to myself, we're talking about men's health in fitness. Okay, we're talking about call to action. Michael Sartain's talking about it. Eric Cruz from the exercise video. You about testosterone. Okay. And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, I went to my doctor and he said everything's fine and it's okay. And then you asked me, what's my number? So I started doing some research. I'm like, why the hell are we not talking about this? Like, what happened? I'm 48 years old. I watch the news. I'm in society. I'm doing my social things. I'm getting my testing done. And in the words of Michael Sartain, this might be illegal someday. Why do they not want middle-aged men to succeed? I don't get it.
And by the way, testosterone was a thing before it became a thing. Like, testosterone been around since we've been going outside of our caves hunting for shit.
It's a daily necessity for men.
It's a daily necessity for men.
But there are some risks. There are some downfalls. So what I said is that we are going to speed this show up. We're going to get this one aired because I think this is very important.
Absolutely.
On both the good, bad, and indifferent for men that are out there who need to know exactly. Let's answer the questions, and what's the best way to answer the questions is to go to professionals. So to do that, instead of Serge and I just bantering back on what we got on Wikipedia or MedMD or WebMD.
That's where I go to for all my information.
I looked on the internet the other day. I'm dying of like third-degree cancer of something or other. It's turns out it was a cold, but nonetheless, we went to the professional. We have a PA with us today who specializes in testosterone therapy treatments. And Meaghan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate you coming in today. So obviously, this is a big deal, and it's starting to get a lot of attention. Why is it that this isn't every other TikTok ad? Why isn't that this isn't every other Instagram short that we're seeing?
Hey, before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about Meaghan's background. So Meaghan, you're a PA, right? So you can prescribe the good stuff, right? The good drugs. But you've been working in testosterone therapy for how long?
For 3 years.
For 3 years. And so you work at a clinic that just does hormone therapy?
Mostly hormone therapy. We do some side stuff as well. We also are doing weight loss shots as well. We treat both men and women. But yes, predominantly.
Is the basis of the clinic like medical? Is it holistic? What sort of approach is it?
It's medical.
Medical? Okay.
So you have to get a whole workup, blood work done and everything, and you have to be able to qualify for treatment.
And that's why they have a PA.
Correct.
Seeing the patients.
And because we're prescribing the medication.
Okay.
But hold on a second. You said that it's for men and women?
Yes.
So why are women getting testosterone therapy?
Same reason men do. So
fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Fascinating.
So reasons why men get testosterone: decreased energy, increased fatigue, moodiness, depression, mental fogginess, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, trouble staying awake at work. They're having to take afternoon naps. They're
trouble sleeping at night.
Trouble sleeping at night. They're struggling. So those are the same reasons why women can also do testosterone. Obviously in a much smaller amount, but...
That's fascinating. And that's across the board women.
So hold on.
Correct.
Testosterone increases libido. Women, you heard it here first on 50 Shades of Great, right? This is the solution. Testosterone therapy.
Well, you know what? And that's interesting because obviously
Can you grind it up and put it in coffee? Or do
when
you
you talk about, well, you said grind it up. I thought you were going somewhere else. But, we're talking about we're talking about testosterone. And when you hear that, it's been made recently to sound like a bad word, because every time I've brought it up, they say, oh, but you have high blood pressure. It thickens the blood. Therefore, you have more risk for stroke, heart attack. Can you talk about those side effects? And why is that the agenda that's being pushed when it comes to testosterone in general right now?
So yes, there are risks. There's risks of cardiac, and that's why we do a blood workup. We get to extensive medical history before we even get you started. If we do have issues, then I get clearance before I even get started. But there are risks, but
Everything has a risk.
Everything has a risk. As long as you're in good health, there's no reason why you can't be on testosterone. We do a good job monitoring everybody's levels, including how thick your blood is, to make sure that things are done properly and that patients are at as little risk as they are.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. You don't have to answer it as a medical professional, but Michael Sartain came on and said some things about the percentage of profit and Viagra, Cialis, some of the other erectile dysfunction drugs, Xanax, all of these pharmaceuticals, and then the low markup in testosterone to actually make it to where people can have it available. Is testosterone being pushed out by Big Pharma?
I don't know if it's being pushed out by Big Pharma, but I definitely think
They definitely don't want you to take it.
doctors don't want you to take it. I think it's scary for a lot of people. A lot of our patients come to us with low testosterone. They've had the blood work done, and their primary says, well, you're low, but I'm not going to put you on it. I wouldn't say it's Big Pharma. I think it's people are scared of the unknown. They don't.
I mean, I went conspiracy theory on the whole money behind the farm, but I'm telling you, I mean, I'm from San Diego.
But why are they scared? Like, why would a doctor not want somebody's testosterone levels to be at optimum range?
In general, primary care, urology, endocrine, they follow standard lab values, but standard lab values are wide. Normal, according to standard lab values, is anything between 265 and roughly 900, 917. That's considered normal, but that's a huge range. Someone that's closer to 900 is going to feel great. Someone that's closer to 200 is not going to feel that great. But because it's considered normal, doctors will not put you on it. Insurances will deny it. And so that's
fascinating.
More the key to this.
Okay, so what happened was we were talking about it and testosterone came up. And then Serge over here says that one of the important factors to look when it comes to, I think we were talking about men's sexual health. And I know that there's a lot of controversy about, from what I read, that testosterone definitely increases the drive, but not necessarily some of the things still associated with erectile dysfunction. But then there's a whole nother community saying a lot of that's psychological.
A lot of that's psychological. Well, so I can't speak, and we'll answer it two ways, right? Meaghan can answer the medical side, but I will tell you, and I've been on testosterone therapy for the last 2 months, and I will tell you,
He grew a beard.
I grew a beard. The beard got darker now, but in reality, I've never felt better. And again, we are not Ageless Men, and we're not sponsored by them, but literally, it has my enjoyment of everyday life is better. Right. So, yeah, are there risks to it? They are. And everything in life, the most dangerous thing. What is the number one most dangerous thing we do in life?
Drive.
Drive a car by a factor of 10.
And then some.
It's more dangerous than jumping out of airplanes with a parachute. Right. It's more dangerous than surfing, the scuba diving, driving a car is incredibly dangerous. Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah, is there risk associated with it? There are risks. But my quality of life is better. And, you know, and from a sexual health standpoint, I don't think I was like this in my 20s.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, you know, I had this conversation also. So my daughter is a PhD physical therapy. So, and she has a lot of holistic approaches, but she always told me, she goes, you know, Dad, look back, like with them going to medical school, she went to New York Medical and looking at it. What goes back to the origin of what your body naturally produces and how are you regulating that versus something like take Viagra that opens up unnaturally part of your body, part of the blood cell. So I do want to dispel some of the myths, or dispel, I guess. You know, the biggest thing that I've seen so far for people who are speaking out against testosterone is the increased possibility of prostate cancer. True or false?
I wouldn't say there's necessarily an increased risk of getting it, but if you do have it, it definitely comes to light.
Okay. And that's
But
usually
we
genetic
do-
anyway, correct?
Most of the time it's genetic. I wouldn't say always.
Okay.
But it definitely, I mean, if it does start, testosterone helps feed it, I guess I would say.
Okay. So
So-
basically, if you're going to get it, it might speed it up a little bit, a chance of speeding it up a little, but you're going to get it anyway.
Potentially.
Okay. Fair enough. And then the other thing is the fat management. What does testosterone do to the fat in our bodies? How is our fat, I guess, I want to say maneuvered, but that's how it was explained to me. Like it kind of takes fat and puts it in the proper places and what needs to be burned. What exactly does testosterone do with the fat in our body?
Testosterone is helping speed up the metabolism for you to burn, to help you lose weight.
Okay.
So that's
So in testosterone therapy on TRT, it helps men lose weight
inadvertently, yes.
inadvertently.
But it's also, I mean, if you have increased energy and you're now able to work out more, it helps you build helps build muscle. It helps get you leaner. So to me, it's if you're lifting more, you're increasing your heart rate and stuff, then you will also help lose weight.
Okay. So now let's get really personal here. So I listened to Sergio. He gave me the number, what's your number question, right? So I went back because, I mean, this actually is scary. It's scary for people our age that we're not paying attention to this. I've got trouble sleeping. I've got mind fog. You know, even if I sleep 10 hours, I'm tired all day long. I have to drink a Red Bull before the show to even get going. I wouldn't say that my sex drive is low, but I've put on weight because my metabolism's gone down, which makes me not feel real attractive. So there has to be.
Having 5 ex-wives will drive down the sex drive.
This guy, he's always got to bring. Well, you know what? But psychologically, but that's where the psychological part goes into
Absolutely.
it. Because you start beating yourself over those certain things. And we'll have a whole other show on men's sexual health when it comes to psychology. But right now, I just, this testosterone thing is really fascinating to me. So I'm going to tell you I'm a member of Kaiser, obviously a big social, want to save money. But I have a really good doctor who I've trusted for a long time. He did a testosterone test on me and it came back at 336. I'm 48 years old. He told me it was great, that the range was, I'm looking here, between 240 and 871, and you're great. Why do I feel like shit? Is it related to this number or is he right? Or does it go back to what you said about doctors?
From a primary standpoint, he is right.
Okay.
From a hormone replacement therapy provider, he is wrong. So, yes, for your age, that's an average number for someone in their 30s and 40s. They typically are around 300 to 400. But I would say all your symptoms are showing signs of low testosterone. And I would say if we put you on testosterone, you would notice significant improvement because he's also looking at your total, not your free testosterone, which is what's actually readily available for you to use. And that is that could also be low and contributing to your symptoms.
Okay, he was talking something about Tanner levels. What's a Tanner level or a Tanner group? You know, probably totally unrelated. He said something about being in a Tanner group 4. I don't know, had to do with testosterone, but again, he's a primary care doctor. This is not his specialty. This is what you specialize in.
My primary care doctor said the exact same thing. So I went and did the test twice. And when I did the test, he's like, "Oh, you're almost at 500, and that's great. I'm 53. That's great for a guy your age." And so then I still decided to go. I went to Ageless Men. I got tested. At that time, I think my number was 365. Now I'm around 900, and I feel fucking great.
The other thing you have to keep in mind too is no one checks you when you're feeling great 10 years before you start feeling like shit.
Like you don't go to the doctor before you get sick.
Exactly. So 10 years ago, who knows what you were at versus now. So
That's a great point.
10 years ago, you could have been.
I never got tested.
You never got tested. So compared to where you were 10 years ago to now, it could be significantly different, which explains why you're feeling lower.
Okay.
But I would say some people come to us for decreased energy, and that's it. Some people come to us for everything that I had mentioned earlier. So
Well, I'm checking off like 5 or 6 of the goddamn boxes on this thing and going, you know what? You guys might be onto something. The fact that Eric comes on, professional. Michael Sartain, professional. You have an opinion. But I thought, you know what? It's time to get serious about this shit. And so this 336 is apparently not a good number.
But because we're doing a fitness challenge, you really should wait and do it after the fitness challenge.
We'll tell you what the fitness challenge is here in a second, though. We're going to get our fat asses in shape by the end of the year.
That's right. And I'm going to be on TRT and you're not. And so we're going to be happy.
Yeah.
you actually should do it before and after your testosterone to see how much it improves with weight loss.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you is what's the telltale test? Because obviously, you know, you have a placebo effect on everything to a certain extent. How do you actually gauge when a patient comes into you and starts the program? How do you gauge those different levels in the wellness?
So as far as treatment goes, we treat everyone the same. So I can have 5 guys come in, they're all getting the same dosage. Ultimately, everyone has the same end goal for where we're trying to keep their testosterone. It doesn't matter their fitness level. Depending on their fitness level will determine on what milligram or dosing we put them on.
So does the size of the person, so I'm 6'3", 275, fat ass right now. Does the size of the person correlate to that number, or is that number pretty much a standard across the board regardless of your makeup?
The size of the person, their history, their background, their physical activity can determine what their testosterone level is prior to treatment. As far as being on treatment, no. It's all, I can adjust, like if someone's more active, they may burn through testosterone more. So I have to either give them shots more frequently or up their testosterone dose versus someone that's more sedentary. They may not need as much testosterone. But in general, as a whole, I would say what you were asking is more before getting on treatment.
Okay.
So someone that's typically a little bit heavier set, they may have lower testosterone and higher estrogen levels.
Okay.
So
I have my middies.
And so it's not just, so there, I mean, obviously testosterone is abused as well, right? So one of the things that's fascinating is that you don't just control testosterone, you control estrogen and other hormones. So talk about why that's important.
As far as why controlling estrogen? So every guy makes estrogen. Testosterone naturally converts to estrogen. Everybody has a different ratio of testosterone to estrogen. But in general, if estrogen gets out of control, meaning it's too high, you can get nipple sensitivity, bloating, acne. Those are probably the most common side effects associated with treatment. And so guys don't want that. So that's why it's very important to control it, because if it gets out of control, it can dampen the what you could be experiencing with being on testosterone
You got to balance
therapy.
it out.
So increased testosterone will also increase estrogen?
Naturally, yes.
Naturally.
But some people are heavier converters, meaning that more of their testosterone naturally converts to estrogen. Some people are less converters, meaning they don't even need an estrogen blocker. But we have to be cautious with it because we don't want them to develop side effects. Too high of estrogen or too low of estrogen can cause feelings of fatigue, sluggishness, or moodiness, changes in mood swings and stuff. And so if you're experiencing all that, you may ignore what testosterone is doing to you because it's of these other side effects.
In addition to the so I guess there's a risk of having too high estrogen and I guess becoming more feminine, or is that?
Told you that's how I got my middies.
That
Not only
typically,
that,
yes.
maybe that's some of the attitude.
And maybe some beer. Yeah, it had something to do with it.
But what are some, and we talk about the cardiac risk, right? There is a risk to testosterone. What other risks are there with testosterone? Like one of the things I've always heard is that if you're on heavy testosterone, your sex drive is actually going to go down, but you've said that that's not the case.
Typically, I think if you're on heavy testosterone, your sex drive goes down. It's because your estrogen's not controlled or is being too strongly controlled.
Correlating.
They're correlating.
Okay.
So typically guys that are on testosterone therapy that are having trouble maintaining erections or finishing or stream isn't as strong, it's typically related to something either with the dosing. We either have them too strong or not strong enough, or the estrogen's out of control, whether it's too high or too low. It can be a lot of factors.
Or the psychology.
or the psychology. It actually, there is a lot of psychology associated with it too. I think a lot of it is mental. If you have performance anxiety, even if we have you on treatment, you have one mess up and you're in a new relationship that could,
Right.
you're now thinking
I mean,
about
not to
that.
get too personal, but I've experienced that, you know, and in a relationship with a new partner or with a partner where just one time and the wrong time they said something. And now I'm so like worried about it to where, you know, I had an ex-girlfriend. I literally had to go pound like 3 beers just to calm down enough to sleep with her. And it was just a miserable relationship. And I left that relationship just because of that. My anxiety.
Erections are psychological. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Depends.
Psychological.
Depends. If
There's
you're
still a physiological.
Yeah, sure. There's a physiological
Doctor,
component to it, right?
if you're able to get morning erections, then I would say it's
Morning
more,
wood, not a problem.
then it could be more mental.
Okay.
But I will tell you, again, this is a disclosure.
Schwein.
No morning wood before testosterone. Absolutely morning. That's when I knew that it wasn't immediate.
Really?
So
That's fascinating.
I started testosterone. It wasn't immediate. But one of the reasons, so I broke my leg in October. And what I noticed when I started to sort of get back to walking and other things, no morning wood, which was never a problem before. So, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And eventually I wound up at testosterone therapy. And first week or two, I didn't see any effect. I even went back and I said, like, what should I be experiencing? Like, how I should feel?
Yeah.
And they're like, relax. And then maybe week 3 or so, woke up, morning wood, and I knew that I was back. So that's a big thing. Now, the other thing too is that in addition to it, one of the things that I learned is that, but what I also was concerned about is that it actually increases your sperm, but actually it doesn't. It's the other way around. You're less likely to have children on TRT than you are without TRT.
But
Is that right?
that's also why if you're at a hormone replacement clinic, they may offer you HCG or human chorionic gonadotropin, which mimics your hormone and actually helps keep your production going so that your numbers don't fall too quickly. But yes, being on testosterone can decrease your sperm count, which is why there's more risks if you're not doing it under the control of a provider. Because if it's unmanaged and you do it unmanaged for so long, you're more likely to have issues.
You know, it's fascinating too, is that's one of the telltale signs on physiologically, if you can perform, is when you're in that peaceful setting, right? Like when you're at net zero. And again, not to get into the psychological show, but that's something that, again, getting personal, is that the counselor told me and that's why to this day, I enjoy having sex so much more, like either first thing in the morning or the last thing at night, because midday, there's been times like I have a very stressful job. I have 93 nights in hotels this year already. And so if it's just, walk into the kitchen 2:00 in the afternoon, she's like, let's go.
But it's
Shit,
the
I got
pressure.
this to do. I got that to. It's the pressure. And then all of a sudden I go into performance anxiety. So, but what I learned was I didn't need that because I started taking the Cialis, but it really flushed. I didn't feel good. I felt like my vision was impacted a little. I mean, it was scary.
And there's a stigma. There's a stigma to supplements. There's a stigma to men, and I don't know why that is. Right. So, for example, I'll disclose some of the show. I dye my beard. If I didn't dye my beard, yes, I know. It's shocking. It's shocking. But I do it. One, as I do because it makes me feel good. And at first, I was very self-conscious about it. I look much younger with it darker than it is with it being white because frankly, if I didn't dye it, it would look white. Right?
It's distinguished.
It's distinguished. I get it.
I don't wax my balls like he does, but you're ahead of me, man. You're ahead of the game here.
You go, buddy. We're going to do a little sugar. We're going to do a live
We're not doing that on live.
We're going to do a live sugaring session.
All right.
Right?
Well,
hey, I had IV therapy. You can get your balls waxed on the air. It'll be fine. We'll shoot it from a different direction.
We've derailed a little bit.
I've learned more about you than I need to know.
Right. but here's the thing. And I was really self-conscious about the fact that I dyed my beard until I remembered every woman I know, age 20 to age 60, dyes her hair. Every woman I know wears makeup. But if a guy would do something like do their nails, dye their hair, do something to use some kind of a facial cream, whatever, we'd be like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
There's a stigma to it. There's a stigma to being on testosterone therapy. There's a stigma to, if you need to, use Cialis, use Viagra. What's the problem?
But that's also why you don't see as many young guys coming into the clinic.
Yeah.
Because there's that stipulation that you have to have something wrong. But the thing is, you don't have to have any mechanical issues. It could literally be the fatigue and the lack of energy and the not seeing the results at the gym that brings you in. It doesn't necessarily.
So, doctor, that's a great point. Let me ask you this now. You talked about a little bit earlier about if I would have tested earlier and saw the numbers back then. Is this a progressive treatment to where you can do maintenance versus? No, it's not. Okay.
This is ongoing therapy. It's, but as soon as you stop, your levels fall back. But that's the advantage to doing that HCG, that other shot that we were mentioning, because in addition to protecting your sperm count, it's also helping protect your baseline numbers from falling too quickly while on treatment, but also helping keep the factory going so that if you transition off testosterone therapy, you immediately can start production of your own testosterone again.
Okay. So we're talking to the men who are out there right now who are listening to us going, damn, I should probably get my shit checked. You know what everyone does nowadays? The first thing they do, they go to YouTube and then they go to WebMD and we're dying and we're, putting needles in our eye. Tell us what we need to do.
You need to come.
What is the first step?
Get blood work done. So whether it's with a primary, whether it's with a hormone replacement clinic, I think you need to do blood work because you don't know what's the cause of what you're experiencing. And blood work shows us a lot of things. It can show us low testosterone, but it can show other things going on if you have thyroid issues or something else going on. But ultimately, the first thing before anyone can treat you is you need blood work done.
Okay. Now, what about everybody who wants to self-diagnose? So everyone wants to go to Amazon and look for the best, 5-star testosterone treatment. Why is that dangerous?
I wouldn't say it's dangerous. It's ineffective and a waste of your money. I mean, I literally have patients that come to us and they get over-the-counter supplements from GNC or Amazon or wherever. And I check their blood work without them ever stopping the supplements, and their levels are still 300, 400.
So it's like what you were talking about with the pre-workout, how
Caffeine.
so much of it on the market is just caffeine.
It is. It's caffeine.
And then the other one is chemicals. And if you can't pronounce the shit on the bottle, you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body.
Yeah. I mean, and yes, and again, the fear is that there are two things. A, like we talk about all the time, we got to give ourselves permission to be better and to feel better, right? There shouldn't be a stigma. If something helps you, right? No different than women wearing makeup, no different than you choosing to wear better clothes, better fitting clothes,
right,
getting into the gym, or taking testosterone, or taking Viagra. If it helps you perform and it helps you feel better, why not be better?
Well, speaking of the one second, you reminded me of something. So I was here in Vegas and walking down, minding my own goddamn business, and some girl comes up and she goes, "Are those whatever these true religion jeans?" Oh, I don't know. Check the tag. She goes, 10 years ago. I'm like, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. She goes, what do you mean you couldn't hear me? I said, I couldn't hear you because you blinked and those pterodactyl freaking eyelashes. You got a bitch with the eyelashes 16 inches telling me I'm wearing pants that are outdated. Get the fuck out of here.
True religion's still in style.
It's still in style, and here they are.
We're gonna bring in we're gonna bring in a stylist to talk about that. We're gonna do a couple of cool things. We're gonna do some street interviews, which she'll comment on how people are dressed, and then we'll also have her style either me or you on the air.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Meaghan, tell us about your clinic and what you do and what they can expect in their first appointment. So
we do hormone replacement therapy, like I said, for both men and women. We actually have a clinic specifically for women if they don't feel comfortable coming to our clinic. But typically you come in, you meet with either myself or another provider in the clinic, and we do some blood work. We go over protocol treatment. And then after I get the blood work done, then they come back in about 24, 48 hours, and I go over the results with them, and they can get started.
And how do they get a hold of your clinic?
We are Ageless Men's Health. We are here specifically in Las Vegas, Nevada, but we are located in 15 different states nationwide as well. So even if you aren't here, we are located. We've got 70 clinics nationwide. My clinic specifically is here in Henderson. You can contact us at 702-243-0028, and I can help get you to the right clinic that you are looking for.
At least get checked out.
Yes.
So every show, what we do is we have a topic. We talk about the background, the current events, why it's important to men at 50 Shades of Great to live our best life. And then we have what's called call to action. And so what we do is we go around the room and we talk about what the call to action is. I tell you what, my call to action is going to be, I'm going to call bullshit on my Kaiser doctor. I love you, doc, but I'm going to call bullshit on my testosterone number. I am going to make an appointment with you guys. I am going to come in and get tested, get the blood work done, and I'll come back and I'll report as to what's going on and how things are going. You're already in the program.
My call to action is to get into the gym. Every day we talk about it. Mike Sartain talks about it. Eric talked about it. I'm now on testosterone therapy, so now it's time for me to get to the gym.
So
our
call to action to you is to take this shit seriously, okay? This affects all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, race, color, creed, religion, political party, whatever I always talk about, cut the noise, right? Cut out the noise, take care of your health. We've got to be here. We're going to go live the best day of our lives. You go live yours. Have a great day.
The show doesn't stop there. Join the movement on IG, 50 Shades of _great. Or go to our website, 50shadesofgreat.com.